It is good to be back among you. I feel very comfortable here. After all, Catholic means universal, does it not? Everybody.
Yep.
We human beings need hope to live. Animals and plants live by instinct or the laws of nature. But we humans have a spiritual dimension in us that is conscious and aware of ourselves and our surroundings. And therefore we can envision possible futures, both good and bad. Hope is the human virtue that enables us to envision futures that are better than where we find ourselves now. Certainly in today's world, when we experience personally or hear about so much pain and destruction, like Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, we need to find sources to hope. We yearn for better futures, but whence do we draw resources to nurture our hope? The story that Barbara read certainly shows that even a little boy can bring hope to someone who's lost their memory or thought they have lost it. Now, the world religions all share a belief that the human spirit is indomitable. It has strength to meet and often surmount the challenges that life presents to humans. The religions even go so far as to claim that the human spirit has an eternal future ahead of it beyond the worst despair, death. This hope in an eternal transcendent realm continues to offer hope to countless numbers of human beings, even today in the age of science, as they or loved ones face the end of physical life. Dr. Gene Johnson, the former president of Prairie Lakes Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Ripon, who died a few months back, was very fond of saying to her friends as she approached her own death from cancer, "I'll be seeing you around the universe." Beautiful. But religious traditions also provide hope for this life as we confront pain and disappointment in our world. The monotheistic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all teach that the eternal spirit actually lives in the soul of every human being. The Genesis creation story says he created them in his image, male and female he created them. And so these traditions believe that the power of this image of God in them, even if people do not call it that, can experience its strength by living their life with hope. The primal or earliest religions of the planet give see that the Great Spirit is everywhere, and this gives them hope. And each morning when they awake, they thank the Spirit for the beauty of the earth that sustains them. Awe in the face of the beauty of nature does stimulate hope in the human spirit. The Asian traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism believe that meditation puts us in touch with the spiritual and eternal power of the universe that is within us and gives us a sense of being part of all of reality, thus reducing feelings of loneliness, a formidable enemy of hope. The readings this morning from different spiritual traditions also talk to us about hope for our lives. Wednesday at sundown, the Jewish community throughout the world celebrates the beginning of the new year, Rosh Hashanah, which in Hebrew means the head of the year. The prayer on Rosh Hashanah by Jack Reamer that we read together this morning reminds the Jew to repent of their failures at the start of another year, but it does not paralyze Jews with guilt. It is hopeful. This prayer says it is possible for Jews to turn around and make their lives during the coming year more sensitive to others, less callous and petty, and more committed to other people. Despite all the pain and injustice suffered by the Jewish people for over 5,000 years of their history, they never despair. Life is good. Better things are always on the horizon for the Jewish people. They even dare to be so hopeful as to refer not to heaven as their goal, but a transformed earth. They call it an age to come in history, where the best in humans will be realized in this world, and when there will be no more injustice or pain. What hopeful people they are in the basic goodness of humans. They take this image of God in all very seriously. Reverend Thandeka is a contemporary African-American scholar, ordained Unitarian minister, theologian, journalist, and television producer. The prayer we read from her this morning, called The Legacy of Caring, stares straight into the face of pain and despair in the world of humanity. But she turns to her inner self to realize that she still can love anew this common world. For she says, the lifeblood of generations who refuse to surrender their humanity in an inhumane world courses through my veins. How beautiful. A Native American and a Buddhist could not say it better. Dorothy Day, the radical Catholic woman, spent over 50 years of her life on the Lower East Side of New York City, caring for the homeless who were caught in gripping despair. She never ceased to have hope for these fellow humans, and she believed we all can take hope from the fact that the slightest act of kindness that we show to others has ripple effects to change the world. We must, she said, lay one brick at a time and take one step at a time. And then the great line at the end, no one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to be done. Beautiful. Her indomitable spirit gave hope to thousands she fed and housed for half a century. And it continues to inspire many to give their lives in quiet daily acts of kindness today. Mother Teresa said that it is not the big things that we do that makes us saints, but the small acts of kindness we do for others each day. Now, I have 3 suggestions from these traditions and just from our own experience to stimulate hope in our lives. One practice that can help reduce both stress and a despairing feeling is the practice of mindfulness, rooted in the Buddhist tradition, which many of you are well aware of. It is a learned but feasible practice of living in the present. Buddhists say the past is gone. We cannot change it. Dwelling on it can paralyze us with guilt and reduce hope. Worrying about the future, which has not yet happened, can produce anxiety and reduce hope. The Buddhists say the only thing we really have is the present moment. Normally, if one focuses on the present, it can help reduce fear of the future, guilt from the past, since the present is something we do have some control over, the now. Moreover, many good things are going on in the world today, including around us, that if we make ourselves more mindful, more aware of the present, this can open our eyes to wider horizons, and we can appreciate and be made more hopeful by these many good people today and what they do, rather than become depressed. The Buddhist and the Native American both would say that one way to develop mindfulness of the beauty and richness of the present is to meditate. This is a ritual anyone can practice. And if we make it part of our regular routine, it not only has a calming effect on our spirit and body, but it also stimulates the eye of the mind to be more aware, open to the connectedness with all beings that we actually have, thus fostering hope. A second and related suggestion is to think about or meditate regularly on the people today in our world who are publicly making a difference. They not only can buoy our own spirits when we need hope, but at a deeper level, says the Buddhist, we are actually connected with them. Their joy and hope truly is ours if we just open our minds to it. and we can experience and share in theirs if we are truly mindful and reflective. We are one community of humans. I think personally about people in public life whom I believe to be making headway against injustice, pain, destruction, and they give me hope. Now this list is going to sound very democratic or leftist. That's me. But you can think of many other people of different walks of life. So who inspires me? The Dalai Lama? Pope Francis? Barack Obama? Bernie Sanders? Elizabeth Warren? John McCain? Robert Mueller, the special prosecutor? Jimmy Carter? Rachel Maddow? To mention only a few. They and others like them in different walks of public life inspire me and help me not to lose my hope in humanity and for our world. I'm sure you all have your own lists. Now, a third and related activity that can renew our hope is to think about the relatively unknown persons whom we know who are quietly making a difference in the world to reduce suffering and give hope to others without getting much credit for it. Think of the first responders to the victims of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma recently. We don't know their names, nor will we ever meet them. They are heroically making sacrifices to help others in desperation, and they're offering them hope. I think of some of the people in your own fellowship who consistently work to help others. We heard some of them this morning. Who join in efforts to promote justice and understanding in our community. Now I'm going to embarrass somebody. I think of Margaret Jarrick of the Ojibwa people. She came to my world religions class. Scott drove her over to Ripon a couple of weeks ago, and she spoke to my world religion class about her traditions. You could hear a pin drop in the room. And I was sitting in the front looking, because sometimes students tend to nod off, or try to get out their cell phone. There was none of that. They were deeply moved. She quietly exuded a sense of peace and reverence for life as she explained her Native American traditions to my students. They and I were deeply moved and inspired to do more in our own lives to respect Mother Earth. Now, I'm going to ask all of us to sit quietly for a few moments to think about the persons in our life or our world who give us hope by the way they live and act. And let us, as the Native Americans do, be thankful for them. And after some reflection, I'm going to ask you if you would like to mention some of those people who give you hope. We can all share in that. Would anyone like to share your experience or names of people that give you hope? Yes?
I will say Jack Brown in this community has done so much to help disenfranchised people and give them opportunity.
Judy Goldsmith, who never seems to lose hope in making the world a better place, especially through our Humanity Project.
I would like to say my mother. She has taught me and everybody she has helped all through her walks of life. And a lot of people are grateful to her. And when people come up to me, they say, "Is your mother Mary Jane Lou?" And I'm like, "Yes, she is." And I'm very proud to state that.
My friend and neighbor Rosemary, who is a very committed Catholic and the most compassionate person I know, who truly, truly lives her faith. And I admire her for that, because I'm not quite as compassionate and capable of doing it as she seems to be.
It's hard to pick one, and since you did start with Margaret, I mean, I have to, I would say Scott Rodman, whose boundless energy on behalf of good purposes, of making the world a better place, whose wonderful smile always lifts me up, and who lives for making the world a better place. He makes me feel hopeful.
Well, in special honor of Sylvia's 70th birthday, I just am so impressed with Sylvia, because she, all through this 4 years that I was a treasurer, she just has such an easygoing, helpful personality, and she's done so much for this fellowship in so many ways. So I honor her on her birthday, and I think she's just really special.
She gives great hugs, too.
Did you have something to say?
I find hope in the community, and I can't list everybody, but I think it's a communal thing. And Jimmy Carter.
I find tremendous hope in Christopher Shimshak. The courage, mainly courage and enthusiasm and passion that he has to bring forward in the Fond du Lac community and hopefully beyond is really tremendous. For someone who has lived most of their life in fear of who I am and what I should do, I find tremendous inspiration in Christopher and what he's doing and what he will do.
Joyce Keys is a retired psychiatrist, and she has been just a vanguard in the local Red Cross for years. Her commitment has been absolutely amazing. Red Cross volunteers have done so much for people in times of need, and she was always there when people needed that help, whether it was locally or in other parts of the country.
I find hope in my professor, Leslie Jaber Wilson. She owns a foster care and adoption agency called Pillar and Vine. She's my social work professor. She's taken in so many foster children over the years and has adopted many of them too. And she just gives me hope to make the world a better place, as it encourages me to become a professional and to help as many people as I possibly can.
Well, John, I find hope in you, Brian. Not many people do I come, with a legal pad and
Would
paper.
you tell that to some of my students? Jesus said a prophet is never accepted in his own hometown. That's why I come to Fond du Lac. Thank you very much.
Aside from saying ditto to almost everybody that has spoken, in general, I would like to say that I get a great deal of hope from CBS Sunday Morning, and I record it so that I don't miss it. But this morning's story was that gave me hope was about an elder woman, 90 years old, who reached out to a neighbor and wrote her a letter to her and said, "Dear neighbor, I am old and I am lonely, and I need to have somebody care." And the neighbor didn't even know her, did not know that she was in need until this woman risked herself at 90 to ask for help. And they've developed this relationship, and now the woman is in the nursing home, and the family comes and visits her and everything. And that kind of caring and reaching out, risking, on one end, I mean, we can all give, it's easy to give, but to ask to have help is courageous. And that just was like, wow, what a great story. CBS Sunday Morning, thank you for their entire production staff, their writers, their photographers, their everything. So,
I actually find hope in music. I think music is very powerful and can encourage you to do things. And there is a song that I think all of you should listen to. It's by this singer called Lana Del Rey, and it's called God Bless America and All the Beautiful Women in It. And every time I listen to it, I just can't help but like think of every single female in my life that has changed my life and have made me happy. So.
I find hope that in our terribly divisive political country that we're living in right now, that there are people, there are politicians from both sides of the aisle who are saying, stop. Perhaps we need to work with the other side. And I know it's small, and I know it's not as big as I would like it to be or as effective as I would like to be, but I do hope and I do choose to believe that it is happening.
There's too many to name, but many of you know I work at St. Francis Home, and I have a lot of interaction with the Sisters of St. Agnes, and they just are consistently so devoted, caring, compassionate. It's just unbelievable to me the impact that those ladies have had on our community, the legacy that they have left behind. It's really beautiful.
Should we continue over coffee? Have our final hymn? Thank you all for sharing. One final thing. There are little